Tennessee, where freedom is you hear music from the woods. Take off for life is good. Any problem? Take off from the neighborhood. Take off free. Life is good. He's always shooting down in the woods. He probably wouldn't be good. He wouldn't be here even if he could. His life is good. Life is good.
All right. All right, yes, Hickok 45 coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee. Yes, and having some fun, shooting a little bit, brought a couple of firearms out, and I welcome you to the beautiful hills, which is my home, of Middle Tennessee, the home of Jeff Quinn. Yes, Jeff Quinn, and lots of other people have lived here. So glad you're here, and happy to have you on the compound, in the woods with me, picking up ticks and getting overheated today. So welcome, welcome. What are we going to talk about? Have no idea. But yes, again, home of Jeff Quinn, rather sad. Went to see him put under, and up in Dover, Tennessee, and had a motorcycle escort, and kind of neat. A lot of people he rode with, and a lot of nice things said about him. So that was it was great to see. Sad to have to see, yeah, but that's the way it goes, isn't it? So anyway, glad you're here. And what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to shoot some, as we often do on the Sunday shoot around, right? And some people don't like the music, you know, that Steve Lee put together. I think some people don't like, we put that together one afternoon when he was up from Australia. He wanted to do that. I said, okay. And he actually put it on a CD, you know, and I think the version you hear doing it on the porch is actually better than what's on the CD, but or that he recorded, published it, and we have the rights to it, so I were able to play it because we actually sort of helped author it and that kind of thing. But I think people who complain about that is just like one or two, but they probably hate that type of music, country music. I guess you call it country, I don't know. Yeah. So if you listen to hip hop all day, you listen to heavy metal a lot, like John, you're not going to like that kind of music, right? That's the way of the world. There's something for everybody, right? So speaking of John, a couple of things. Let's see. They're doing some comedy around. He's going to be, say, Monday, tomorrow, the 10th. Yeah, the 10th of August at the Liquid Smoke Cigar Bar, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're doing a little comedy down there, so check them out. And I think it's probably, I don't know, check them around 8 o'clock or something probably. Don't know for sure. And then on the 28th of August at the Backstage Bar and Grill in Evansville, Indiana at 8 o'clock. So a couple coming up pretty quickly. There's some others I'll keep you posted on. Okay. So just be aware of that. Yeah, I guess what I've got out here, I don't know if you could tell. Yes. Mark 18, the annual defense. This is John's. You'll be seeing more of it. We'll do video. Yeah, pretty neat little pistol. I'm not crazy about the pistols, ARs, but I tell you what, the braces have improved, and with a red dot, especially just one sight up here, it's a different matter. Even my size, my length of pull, this, I think it's an SB, oh gosh, what is it? It's an SB, I'm gonna write it down. SB, I did write it on something. It's the, SB A4. That's what it is. I think the SB A4 brace. the newest generation, okay, of the SB braces. And you get just a little more length, it makes a world of difference, okay, on the Daniel Defense Mark 18. So John was all excited about it, you know, and they weren't cheap and all that kind of thing. I said, yeah, okay. Well, he brought it out and I fired it and shouldered it with the new stock on it. It came with an SB A3, I think, and he got the A4 is better with that. And I like it, yeah, really. You know, kind of obviates the need to do an SBR, in my opinion, on one of these. So, pretty cool, pretty cool. So I'll shoot it a little more. And I've got another rifle out here I'll show you. I have a confession to make. Gosh, yeah. Y'all saw the video, FAQ, did at the beach. Pretty funny, right? Standing at the beach last week. And I tell you what, gullibility abounds, doesn't it? It's just so funny. It's just funny. I'm continually surprised, actually, by the number of people who are pretty gullible, who do not get a joke. Most of you get it. I mean, like 98% probably, okay? But the people who don't are maybe more likely to comment and that kind of thing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's FAQ. What is it, the number on that thing? It's the most recent FAQ video we posted this week. And check it out. I mean, it's like a minute long probably. And I made a confession in that video, didn't I? Yeah, I've been keeping that a secret here all along. I told you I don't have any deep dark secrets, you know, but I really did, didn't I? That I did 10 years in prison for stalking supermodels in the 1990s, right? So I confessed to it and revealed it in that FAQ video. So pretty funny how many people seem to think maybe it was true. They're not sure about it, right? Of course, some people are new, and that makes a difference. That makes a difference, of course, when you don't know somebody and you don't know when they're joking or not. The thing is, though, even if I don't know somebody very well or I had never even met them, and they start talking about how they were on one of the moon landings, you know, and brought back a bucket of rocks and or something like that, well, right away I'm going to be, uh-oh, what now? Okay, what's this joke, or what's he trying to pull? Yeah, I'm not going to fall for this. So. But some people, it doesn't hit their radar, right? And they might be all young people who for whatever reason still think that adults would not tell a story. Adults never lie, never make up stuff, you know. I still maintain part of it is I kind of learned from my students when I was teaching, because, you know, I pull all that stuff on them, and, you know, just I've always been a wiseacre and just, you know, test people's gullibility, kid with them, you know, nothing ever malicious or anything. I just goof around with people. And the students who never fell for it, immediately they knew, oh yeah, right, you expect us to believe that, you know, they just, okay, yeah, we're not stupid, Mr. So-and-so, that kind of thing, you know. They were the ones that you could never fool them. And I came to find out, they would tell me, yeah, you're just like my uncle, or my dad's that way, or my mom, or whatever. I've mentioned that before. But I think really that some people, and I kind of learned from that the students who would fall for anything you said, you know, you just got back from the moon or whatever, they just weren't around people that pulled that kind of stuff on them, or just, you know, had a sarcastic sense of humor or a dry sense of humor. They just weren't around anybody like that. And, you know, so if you didn't, you know, laugh real big or smile real big when you're saying something, they just assumed it's true. And anyway, a little fun with that, right? Like, could you even do 10 years in prison for stalking? Plus, it was plural, supermodels, right? Yeah. I mean, I guess you could, you know, if you were, you know, creepy enough or something. I don't know. I don't know. I never cease to be amazed at some folks. Uh-oh, here they come. They're watching for me. The helicopters, the black helicopters. Yeah, they're zeroing in on me. So I won't return fire. I promise. Okay. It's probably, yeah, it's hard to tell from the trees. It's either a medical helicopter or it's something going and coming from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Tennessee. Well, Fort Campbell's on the line, Tennessee, Kentucky. I guess most of it's in Kentucky. And so the address, I think, is Fort Campbell, Kentucky, but it's not far from me. Not far. We used to hear the kabooms up there more often than we do now. So anyway, I won't pick on gullible people. I shouldn't do that, should I? Let me tell you, and you'll notice on the target now, I got some new targets. In fact, we appreciate Gun Fun making our targets for us, okay? Give me them a little plug. You see, you probably can't see it in this video because it's hard to do a close-up of it, but at the bottom you see the little Gun Fun. They have a lot of targets in gun shops. You're pulling out zombie targets or whatever they are, you know, out of the rack and going back to shoot. Notice it's a Gun Fun. They make a lot of targets. And we appreciate their help with that, and had them get Ballistol and Talon grips on there, both. And so we've got everybody that supports us on our paper targets now. You know, just not that it's essential, but we like to express and show our appreciation for the people that help us and keep us going. You know, I mean, they help us, and we want to help them as much as possible. You'll notice, speaking of that, Bud's Gun Shop has asked for permission to. They've had some of our videos up under certain guns. If they've got a Mark 18 or something, or we have a video on it, they will sometimes have a link to it. They want to do more of that. So yeah, why not? We've had a relationship with them for a long time. We're not, you know, whatever I say, and it's funny when I talk with them about that. I say, yeah, fine, yeah. You know, if you're linking to our YouTube videos, it's all right. And if I can't guarantee there's any useful information in a video on a CZ75 or whatever it might be, you know, that you might want to link to, because, you know, when we do a video, it's totally independent, and we're not thinking about what anybody else thinks or cares about it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's somebody that sponsors us, or it's the manufacturer, or whatever. You know, it's just whatever we think about that firearm. And you know, like the Python, it could be a firearm that doesn't work or whatever it might be. But yeah, sure, feel free to link to it. We don't really do bashing videos, but it could be an overall negative video. So anyway, but they're not using it to sell. Just get more information. One of the neat things about Buds is they really truly do appreciate the objectivity and honesty that we work hard at maintaining. Okay, and that's the beauty of that. Yeah, if say I'd gotten this gun from them, this is the one John bought. I'm not sure who he bought from, but if it was borrowed from them, and I had some negative things to say about it, maybe some seriously negative things to say about it, they don't care. That's great. That's an advantage, you know, rather than go through it. Now, if I was relying on manufacturers, could you send me one of these? And they probably would. Well, I know, you know, Daniel Defense has made lots of offers to send us things. They would do that, and whatever the next model is. So it'd be kind of hard to be negative about this. Well, I'm not going to get the next one probably if I trash this one at all. If I don't like it, Daniel Defense is going to hate me, you know. And so we don't have any of that stuff to worry about. We're not about the business of trashing everything anyway. You just want to be honest, and that's great. I just like to point that out occasionally. The advantages of getting help from a large, maybe the largest gun shop. Okay, so it's nice. They don't make guns, you know, so they're in the business. But we appreciate people that help us. Now, I've been bad too. John's bad, but you remember that? Drawing a blank. That Seiko Bavarian, the Model 85 you saw a couple weeks ago, whatever. And I told you about how I fell in love with that. Well, guess what? Guess what? I've got one loaded here. Okay, is it the same one? Might be. Bolt is back. Let's shoot it. All right. Now, let's take a couple shots. Then I might have a confession to make. 6.5 by 55 Swede. All right, that probably tells some of you. All right. Oh, red plate. Oh yeah. 5 shots, 5 hits. Yeah, it's that Seiko model 85 I had a couple weeks ago, isn't it? No, it's not. And you know that right away, don't you? When you see that ugly stock, I'm looking at the monitor, so make sure you see it. Look at the end of it. That's a different sort of animal, isn't it? And some of you would think that's pretty ugly. This is the full stock version. It's the carbine version. And this one's mine. Yep. After all these years of salivating over it, I took the plunge. I found, well, these generally run more money than the rifle version that I showed you before that we did get from Buds, and $200 or $300 more. But I found one. I got looking around and made that mistake, kind of like going to look at puppies. You always come home with one, don't you? And I found it for the same price. Oh man, should I not? And guess what I did? Yeah, don't you? So model 85 Seiko, I have one in 6.5 by 55 Swede, as you know, a cartridge I really like. Okay, so I can't help it. I did it. I have this addiction, and I guess there's really just not a cure for it. There's really not. People are addicted to all sorts of things, right? We could list them. Drugs being at the top, right? Alcohol, which is a drug, right? But we could make a long list of the things that people are addicted to, and how damaging it is to them, their health, their family, society, and all sorts of damage can cause. Very, very unfortunate. Well, I guess my addiction doesn't hurt anybody. It's good for the economy. It's good for me. I enjoy it. There's really no downside. Yeah, it's good for you all to some extent. You get to see firearms maybe you wouldn't others see. Okay? How arrogant was that? No, you get to see me talk about it. I'm sure there are other people talking about these same firearms. But anyway, yeah, I did. Now, I wasn't sure which I was going to get, but this was really, I think, the one that I picked up the very first time. That full stock, and I kind of fell in love with the feel and everything. And then I'd find the rifles, and I didn't see as many of the full stock, I think, at the NRA meeting exhibits or the SHOT Show and everything. Then when I would pick them up and find them at my gun rug lint on there. But the more I thought about it, I said, well, I've got some nice rifles, and this is 20-inch barrel. In an AR-15, that's considered a long barrel, right? So, this is a 20-inch barrel. It's not like, even though it's a carbine, it's not much shorter than the rifle I had. I think it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches shorter. So it's mainly just a full stock rifle, and it does have some advantage. You're not touching the steel, because I'm usually going to shoot 1,000 rounds when I get it out. That barrel's going to be hot, right? I don't know. It's just something different, or I have to say, I guess it brought out a little of the hipster in me. It's one of those things that it may strike you as just really ugly, but it kind of grows on you, especially when it's a Seiko and it's a Model 85. It's a Bavarian. It's the Bavarian style stock and everything, and it's extreme quality and all that. If it's just something somebody threw together in their basement, you know, it was a $150 rifle and had some kind of weird looking stock, you would just think, okay, yeah, that's really cute. What, you're able to make that for 30 bucks, I guess, so, you know, it made sense to you. No, it's a beautiful Seiko, and the wood grain and just everything is, you know, out of this world. So I think that makes some difference, you know, to some extent. So I think in that video last time you saw, I had trouble getting the mag out. All you do is push on that and it comes right out. I'm so dumb. You're right. So anyway, in the Swede round, so I have a couple of really nice 6.5 to 55 rifles. That Model 96 Swedish Mauser, which you've seen it, I hope. It's a beauty. I love it. And then this modern rifle. So I guess I'm kind of wed to that cartridge. I like it. Many of you are too. I hear from you all the time. Many of you are just so pleased that I like it, because I guess I don't know, around the web or world, you know, or the internet, there's lots of people that like it, but you know, not as much as maybe some of the other more common, you know, cartridges, you know, the Sacred 308, you know, that kind of thing, 5.56 and everything, and then many of the others, 30-06, 30-30, whatever you want to say. So there, I can't help it, you know, it's just stuff I do. Can I take a couple more shots with this Mark 18? Yeah, we're going to do a video on this pretty soon, all right? I have the gong, that gong, using it elsewhere right now, so, but I wasn't just going to shoot the gong anyway with it. Take a couple more shots. We got a 2-liter here. Can you see it? Yeah, let's blow it, man. Oh, thanks. Now I got all over everything. Oh, here's a target that hadn't been shot. Woo! Propane. Oh, man. Nice. Got him on the last shot. I'm seeing, John has a, oh, you have a Trigicon red dot on there, really nice one, and it's I don't know if it's my eye or what. I see 2 dots, kind of one on top of the other, unlike my aim point and some others. But I know sometimes it's if you're like that, sometimes when you look at a red dot, you get that if it's turned up a little too much or whatever, or you had too much coffee. I don't know. Your red dot's not as clear maybe for you. To blame that on something like that, right? So yeah, the Mark 18, wow. I've been doing some research on this thing, and just another one of those firearms. I with that brace, I really like it, and I can see why it's so popular with so many people, you know, including the military, where they don't have to use the brace, but they typically have a stock that would be no longer than that, I guess. And you know, essentially the same firearm, except you have select fire. Yes, but you know, I think Daniel Defense makes a lot of those. So they do good work. They're not the only outfit that does good work, but they make good firearms, and they're tested in battle, right? So, and that's kind of, I guess, the difference. You know, the age-old question: how much do I need to spend on a AR-15 to get one that's quality or that works? And you know, at least before now, the pandemic, you could buy one for what, $500 or $600 that works fine, like that Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2, whatever. I have one. Ruger makes them. You know, others get some that are thrown together or made together. You can put them together, so you can have under $500 or $600 in one without much trouble under normal circumstances. And so that's kind of the question: is those are probably not going to be taken to Afghanistan. You know, hopefully we're not taking too many overseas, period. You know, we're kind of getting out of situations where we don't really need to be, maybe now, I don't know. But we can't be at war, you know, all the time, forever in the same place. We need to either take care of it or get out of there at some point, don't we? But yeah, that's kind of the difference, going that extra mile, because if you're going to actually be taking one into combat, you know, who knows, maybe the cheapest AR in the country would serve you just as well in most cases, and maybe all cases, you know, I don't know. But they're just things that are done You know, when something is going to be used in an extreme situation, under extreme conditions maybe, and it could be a life and death situation, you want everything pretty much overbuilt, don't you? Pretty much like a vehicle, like the wheel, the tires, those kinds of things. You know, you don't, a bridge. Do you want the lowest bidder building your bridge you're going to drive across, you know, the river on necessarily, you know? So any added work might be welcome, you know, kind of thing, even worth the money, depending on what it is, right? So anyway, that couple of cool guns I've been out shooting, because we're going to do video with the Mark 18. I've shot it some, and I want to shoot some more today. And I got 2-liter stuff on my Seiko. I apologize. Look at that. I'm going to have to put some ballast on. Oh, I happen to have some. There we go. Man, beautiful wood. Just what I need. 2-liter all over it. Oh, man. Hope it's not stained or something. I like to take care of firearms. One like this, it gets into a category where you do have a temptation to baby it maybe a little too much, don't you? And because it is such a beautiful rifle, and it's a bolt action, and you're not going into combat with it and everything. But still, if I was a hunter and climbing in the mountains and whatever, you get to where, okay, it gets scuffed up, not a big deal. It's just that under normal circumstances, I'm just bringing it out here to shoot. There's no reason for me to get it full of big gouges and that kind of thing in the wood. It's just my own, not incompetence, but just negligence, really, and there's no excuse for that. So I'm going to keep it nice for as long as I can. But I don't typically baby firearms, as you know. We've caught grief for throwing the guns on the table, throwing magazines out. That is a common, should do an FAQ on that, maybe we have. Throwing magazines on the table, you know, Glock mag or AR, like we'll be shooting over here, empty it and just toss it over on the table. And I mean, there have been over the years, I would guess, here I am just talking about things that come to mind, but oh my gosh, I'd say 30 at least, maybe 50 comments that I have seen, and so that means there's a lot more of people just really giving us a hard time about that. You know, sling your magazine, and maybe it's somebody else's gun, or if one goes back to buds, or whatever it is, you know, oh, I see you don't treat other people's property very well. I mean, just really snarky and serious about it, about how horrible we are with equipment. Well, you know, what magazine won't handle, heck, it'd handle throwing it over there on concrete. You know, I mean, just throwing it on a table with this soft skin on it, you know, or banging on another one. I mean, this stuff is made for hard use, right? I'm not going to throw my Seiko over on the table or something, but you know the difference. A lot of tactical stuff and polymer pistols and their magazines, and it's not a big deal at all to be thrown around, is it? You drink this soft drink. So yeah, it's just interesting. People have a different perspective, and I understand some people that it just took maybe months and years even saving up to buy maybe this pistol, whatever it might be, okay? And boy, they take a few shots, they wipe down that magazine, and they're very, very careful with that thing, and it's gone, they lay it down carefully, and it's just a prized possession to them, and you know, they just really clean it with a toothbrush and every little thing out, and clean their magazines every time they shoot. They're very, very, very careful with them, and it's just really expensive. It's a big portion of their weekly or their monthly income. They cannot afford to buy another magazine right now. They have to really save up for a while, and they've got a couple of mags, and then they see me just toss it over on the table, and I guess plus they're new to firearms, they're not as savvy about firearms to begin with, and they don't understand that won't really hurt them unless you stand on them or something anyway. So So I guess that's where it comes from. So, I mean, I respect my property and my stuff. I want it to work. So I'm going to take good care of it, but I'm not going to baby it. If I toss this SIG magazine over here on the table and that caused it not to work, even if I toss it over here 50 times, it bangs around some other magazines. If that is enough to cause it not to work, or not to be reliable, I don't want it. Yeah, give me a different type of firearm then, So it's my take on that. There's another thing I didn't mean to talk about. Where's my holster? It's in my pocket. Okay, so been shooting, been having fun. What else want I talk about? Any philosophizing today? I don't know. What about bullying? Bullying. Have y'all heard this commercial? Yeah, it runs pretty often. Radio. It's a little girl, it sounds like, saying something like, today at school I learned that I was fat and ugly. Today at school, or today in chemistry class, I learned that I was stupid and smelled, and things. You probably heard that. Every time I hear that commercial, I think, oh man, it's so sad, because I taught for almost 30 years, 29 years, and I saw. We really worked at preventing bullying and dealing with it. It was a serious mission of ours, really, where I taught, and especially my second incarnation as a teacher from 1990 to 2013. It was a serious part of what we did. We just felt like that was as important almost as anything we did, to make sure nobody's coming to school and being mistreated. It was a private school, but it doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Kids are kids, and they're cliquish and just like adults. Look on the internet, They, in a lot of ways, they behave better than adults. Okay, look at social media. So you can't say kids are worse than adults. Adults probably get more creative about it, and they have more avenues for it. But anyway, it always reminds me of that, and I think back to some kids, and it is amazing. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that, or you've taught or around kids, but there would always be, the word would come through parents or something that so-and-so was being bullied or picked on, in the locker room or somewhere between classes, and it's just really bothering him or her. Sometimes guys, not just girls, they can be very cliquish, of course, but sorry, I mean, pick on girls, but, there's books written about mean girls, right? I married one. No, I was kidding. But guys, too. And it seemed like the worst ones almost were with guys. Are you kidding? Joe? Or Bill, or whatever his name. Really? They're picking on him? He's one of the neatest kids in the class. He seems so on top of things. And so it just always perplexed me where that would come from. And we would work at it, and to make sure we could try to prevent it. You can only do so much, but I would study that, and I would watch, especially if you knew somebody was having trouble with that. And it's not like somebody getting beat up in the hallway or anything like that. It was, all someone has to do is just say something. Maybe it's a group of guys that you would like to hang out with, and you don't understand why they don't seem to like you or something. And maybe they even play the same sports you play, or in the band, whatever. But you walk by them in the hallway, and one of them says something just really rude to you, like drop dead, kid, or something like that. So you can't catch all that, and so I would try to kind of watch that and just see, where is this happening? What are they doing? Why is it? And it's like a mystery. It's like this underworld that the adults just don't know. And then plus with social media, and texting and all that kind of thing, well, there's no way to know what people are saying about each other and all that kind of thing. But anyways, it's always been one of my pet peeves because of having that exposure to it and seeing really neat kids suffering over it. And I mean, in some cases, really suffering and wanting to drop out of school, or wanting to quit school, or go to a different school because somebody, one person, and of course there'd be that same somebody there too. There's always someone like that. And also I always found it interesting trying to study it, the psychology of it. What is it about this fella or this girl? I try to just, they're my class every day maybe, and I you get to know them, and how they react, interact, talk, and what kind of student they are, and everything, and trying to look for patterns of behavior. What is it about, Larry or whoever that seems to bring this on? Now, sometimes there's the obvious cases, right, on the fringes, both extreme, where someone just, they're just hard to like, whatever age it is. But in many cases, and the most troubling ones, you just couldn't figure out what it was. Other than in middle school, at the middle school age, often what it is, it was when I was there, my experience, it was the fact that that child happened to be more mature than the others. Yeah, that was a lot of it. They weren't as childish and as comfortable playing all the goofy, childish games and stuff, that the others are playing, whether it's girls or boys. And so anything at all that separates you from the group, if you're different in any way, it's you're liable. You're at risk, right, for that behavior. And you just want to be kind of one of the guys or one of the girls, and kind of be invited to the parties, and be able to chat with everybody in the locker room and in the hallway just like everybody else. But they get singled out, and it's not like there's some weird kid that just is totally maladjusted. It's somebody that just seemed like a normal kid, So it's always been perplexing and troubling, to see that. And so anyway, when I hear that commercial, I think back on those times, and it's so sad. If you're young, I probably don't have many high school kids or middle school kids that watch these, but man, think about that. I mean, you have no reason to be bullying, and bullying is a strong word, but to making someone else feel less important or less worthy. Like, why? I mean, there's this golden rule thing, isn't there? What a news flash. Like, do you want to be made to feel that way? Don't you want to be accepted? I want to be accepted. And so, hey, how about accepting other people? And you don't have to be best buddies with everybody, but to actually single people out and make them feel bad. Wow. What speaking of what I talked about last week or week before about what are you doing on this planet? You doing anything worthwhile? If nothing else, don't detract, at least be neutral, leave people alone, and not make people's lives miserable. They're not hurting you, not bugging you. And I remember being in school, and I remember a child or two that, I was, of course, immature. Imagine that. I always have been immature, right? And I feel bad about things I said. I won't mention the name. There was one girl that, the poor girl, just had problems, and it was just okay. Everybody had a license to talk about it. She was so bad that people wouldn't really say much to her face, but still, it's just part of being young, I realize. But I think we have a better handle on how that really, really bothers people, whereas we didn't back when I was a young person, I think. But anyway, and I still say some of that comes from arrogance, even bigotry when you get right down to it. It's one thing to think you're better than some other person of a different race or religion, gender. Okay, there's people like that, right? We all hopefully are trying not to be that way at all. But isn't it just as bad for me to think I'm better than Joe over there, or Bill, Mary Lou, because maybe they're a little less social than I am, or they not as handsome as I am? They are a little bit more socially awkward. Maybe they're just so good at geometry or something, and the rest of us are having trouble. I mean, why do I want to give that person a hard time? They may be the same religion, the same race as I am, the same gender and everything else, but I am making their lives, his life, her life, miserable for no reason. So, it's a form of bigotry. I think I'm better than that person, so, it's where it kind of comes from, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, a little pet peeve of mine, as you might have figured out, right? Can I shoot something? Hey, how about this? Okay, now some of you feel free, to criticize it. There are some critics of this. It doesn't have the exact Mauser bolt and extractor. It's got a kind of a hybrid of it, but it's got a really nice bolt and extractor and all that. And so it's a little different. You may really detest the looks of this particular thing. We'll do a video on it. You may hate this cartridge. It's sort of the granddaddy, the grandma of the 6.5 Creedmoor. Get right down to it. The 6.5 Swede, and just a really nice cartridge. You might not even like Seiko. I don't really know enough about them to know all the critics. I just know they're a well-made rifle, and that I need to shoot something else. Oh, here's a 2-liter. You might not even be able to see this one over here. You can't see it now. How about that bowling pin down there? Can you see it? That red plate over there. Nice. And that bolt is just so sweet. So sweet that I shot over that. Yeah, getting a little, the lighting is kind of bad today. Just a little bit, not horrible. At least I can blame it on that, right? So, yeah, I like that rifle, I have to say. I really don't need any more guns. I don't really need more rifles. I don't, I promise I don't, really. Man. But you know what? There's always another firearm that it seems like that I end up having experience with, that I end up, wow, that's pretty cool. But I really do need to replace firearms instead of adding, that's for sure. Something like this could replace about 5 different ARs. I can tell you that. That's pretty cool. I might prefer it in a bigger caliber, 300 Blackout, if I was going to use it for like home defense or something. But I don't know. That little 5.56 is such a loud cartridge, as I've said before. Man, is it? So I probably shouldn't keep you all night, but what else was I going to talk about? I think it's something else I still see a lot of while I'm pontificating, okay, is online, what would you call it? Oh gosh, I'm drawing class envy, I guess you call it, or economic envy, or just whatever. I think you see it all over the internet. You see it all over the world. One thing that brings it sometimes to our comment section is that we have this series of firearm videos where we're comparing like a cheap version of a firearm to an expensive version. You've seen some of those, I hope. We've done it with single action revolvers and 1911s, like a $400 1911 versus $3,000 1911 or whatever. We've done it with that. What else have we done it with? A couple others. We've got one we haven't posted yet. Yeah. And so it's kind of an interesting study. What is the difference between, in fact, we're going to do it with bolt action rifles maybe, $400 bolt action rifle versus $2,000 bolt action rifle. What do you get for that money, and what's it worth? And so I do skim through, and I see comments pretty regularly of people making kind of snarky comments about anybody who would buy an expensive gun. Well, I mean, I confess I've done some of that, right? I didn't do as much of it when I was teaching. It was just, remember, for 29 years I worked for a teacher's salary, okay? And I was in business back in the 80s. I made a little more money, had some nice bonuses and things like that, and do fine now, But I mean, I can relate to all levels of income, believe me. But I still say, in my own defense, I don't think anyone has ever heard me, if I polled all the people I've ever worked with, in any job, teaching, whatever I've done, do you remember me? And I asked them, do you remember me ever complaining about my salary or being envious of someone else who makes more money than I do? or maybe even saying that they really shouldn't make that much money, or anything. I've just never gone there that I can ever remember. You know why? Because I have always made my own choices. Yeah, whatever I've done, I just feel like, okay, that's me. I could have gone into business early in life and worked at making money. I went into education. Was there almost 30 years, total. So I made all my own choices. So how stupid would that be? How ridiculous would that be to sit around and complain about my salary? I'm just indicting myself. Oh, well, guess who, Greg, chose to be a teacher? Yeah, me. So to complain about that, you know. So I've never really done that. So I guess it bothers me when I see so many in society, or comments on videos, or in the world, people that are so obviously just reflecting class envy, and don't even realize it sometimes, but just giving someone a hard time who would buy a $3,000 or $2,000 1911, and call them, talking about how stupid they are, how they're only doing that so they can show it off, or so they can, I don't know, be the hero at the range, or whatever comments you see about that. It kind of reveals more than anything. I tell you what, as a just a bit of advice to people, even if you are eaten up with class envy and you're working hard to create a socialist country, because it's kind of what it sounds like you might want, you may not want to hide it. But if you are interested in not revealing it, and I'm probably not talking to anybody here, but just kind of you is relative, right? Generic in general. Maybe be careful how you say things and not reveal it, because it just really reveals it when people say things like, well, people were just buying that gun because of the name, or just different things. It reveals ignorance about the industry, I think. Lack of knowledge is what ignorance means. It reveals just a lack of knowledge. Now, you might think like this phone might cost, I don't know, more than another phone or less than another phone. Well, it's because there's something they didn't do with this phone, or there are features I don't have that make it cost less money than an iPhone, for example. Let's say. So I'm not going to badmouth an iPhone. It probably has something this one doesn't have. I might think it's way more expensive than it ought to be, but it probably has something in it that my phone doesn't have. That's why it costs more. Okay? I don't know. Maybe it has a better warranty. So there's usually a difference, the reason something costs more. It's just that, as I said in a video recently, quite often, too, something that people don't realize, to give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't mean to imply or say that everybody who thinks like this or makes a comment like that is just a closet socialist necessarily. But I think some people don't realize that two items, one costs $500, one costs $1,000, let's say, same item essentially. The $1,000 item probably is not twice as good as a $500. I mean, almost in no case is it probably twice as good, even though it costs twice as much, if it's the same thing, a tire, whatever you want to talk about. Because to get higher quality, once you've got to a certain level of quality, to get to the next level, say it's to get to another, I don't know, increase the quality by 30%, let's say, well, it might take 100% more money, all right, you know what I'm saying? So something that costs twice as much might just be 10% better than the lower priced item, whatever it is. I mean, just because of the nature of things. It usually costs more as you get into something to improve it. To improve it very much at all just costs a lot more. Like Python might be a good example. It's always been expensive. It's always been, my gosh, it seemed like twice as much as a Smith or a Ruger. Even back when they were around, they're still being manufactured. Well, is it twice as good? No. But there's just a lot of hand polishing or things they do that make it a Python that just take time and labor and a lot of cost involved in it. Okay, not twice as good. Certainly one that's, $4,000 as a collector's piece right now is not 4 times as good, but that's just kind of the nature of things. But That's another thing that bothers me a little bit. All the class envy that we see, it just doesn't matter. I've never felt like it really mattered. I am who I am. You are who you are. Whatever your income is, I've had income all over the board. Man, I've been poor, and I've been a teacher for 29 years. So I wasn't necessarily poor, but I didn't have a lot of extra money. The same person I've always been, and I'm sure you're pretty much the same way. And it's a shame that people get all tied up into that and caught up in it, and I don't know. It's just it comes out of envy, as best I can tell. Worried about the other person. A lot of that going around too, right? Worrying about what the other person's doing more so than what you or I are doing ourselves. And if you're a young person, especially, try to get off that boat and just focus on what you are doing. And not be second guessing everybody else and trying to just give everybody else a hard time. Goes back into bullying or criticizing other people or making fun of other people or wanting to shut other people down or cancel them, whatever, which is very popular today, isn't it? 'Cause they don't agree with you. How about just take care of yourself, right? So little advice, friendly advice from somebody who ain't all that smart, but I've been around a while. And we're just ridiculous human beings sometimes, aren't we? You know what it makes you want to do? Makes you want to get some bullets out and shoot them. Well, no, not because you're upset, right? I told you about that comment. Gosh, years ago. We hadn't been doing this very long at all, and someone left a comment. I know I talked about this in some vlog. In a video he posted that an AR video or something. He said, "Oh man, it must be great to come home from teaching all day and just let out the frustration and stress, on the shooting range." And I quickly corrected him, whoever, on that, because for me, shooting has never been that way. It's a hobby. That's a little scary. If somebody is stressful, I got to have a gun, I got to shoot some bullets. That's kind of scary. I like shooting, as you know, as much as anybody, probably more than most. But it's never. I mean, it's a relaxing hobby. So obviously that relieves, any stress you might have. I mean, it's going to be a positive in terms of that, right? It's just like playing golf or anything else. So yeah, in that sense, it's a stress reliever, I guess. It's a hobby. You got to do what you enjoy doing. But no, when I saw that comment, I'll never forget it. It's been 10 years probably. But I remember, the vision that he was kind of painting there was what a hard day I have. Oh man, those kids are driving me crazy. Where's my AR-15? I got to blow some 2 liters away. Nah, that's not what shooting is about, right? Okay, it's just fun. It's just fun. It's so much fun that you love to have success at it. And I suggest you put a target up really close like this, and that way you can hit the bullseye or come really close. And it's a real boost to your ego, because then you can hang that target in your bedroom, or you can take it to your office and hang it up, scare your colleague, and you can just brag about what a great shot you are. Shoot a tight group from here, 6 or 8 feet. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good move, don't you? Walk right up to it and make sure you don't get powder burns on it, or they can tell, you're right up close. And get you a really, really tight group. Or you could get a paper punch maybe and just punch them holes in the bullseye and hang that up in your office, your cubicle or whatever. Yeah, it's a shame you probably can't. Not many jobs where you could do that unless you work in a gun shop, I guess. Hang up a good target you had. Although some you could. They're very gun friendly. And then with a lot of companies, there are a lot of gun-friendly people there, but then you got some who are not, and it's just like, well, let's not antagonize them or scare them, whatever. Depends on the split that you have, doesn't it? Yeah, probably not a lot of targets hanging in offices around the country. Wow, talk about being canceled. Whew. There's some people that would scare you. Plus, you don't want to lead. If you have a hobby or anything that's a little unusual, you don't necessarily want to lead with it. You might have some people coming in from another country or coming in from another state you're planning to do business with, maybe a merger or something going on, and you don't want to alienate them right off the bat. Maybe one of them just so afraid of firearms, just an unnatural fear of firearms or something, and you sit down in the office, you're about to have a great conversation. He sees your target on the wall, picture you with a 44 Magnum, and can't even concentrate, and just looks at you like you're an alien, or something. Because granted, you shouldn't think that way, but there are people who just don't have that in their experience, so it's really weird to them. So until they get to know you, especially. So anyway, well, I don't know if I didn't have anything useful to talk about. Period, didn't I? Much, but. What else do we want to talk about? I had a couple of notes here. Not much. Just been shooting arrows and the Seiko and John's guns and different things. Shooting another Ruger American this week, and you saw the M1A 6.5 Creedmoor posted, didn't you? Pretty nice rifle. Probably stick with 308 myself in that, because as I understand, there are a lot of interesting comments on that video too about people say, yeah, it's a good cartridge, but unless you're shooting out beyond 600 yards, it doesn't really beat. There's no advantage to it over 7.62 by 51. And if you don't have a scope on the rifle, especially, and a lot of really intelligent comments there about that. And then the 1849 pocket pistol, is that a cool little pistol or not? And it's okay to call those old revolvers pistols. That's what they were called at the time. Wild Bill Hickok was known as the Prince of Pistoliers because he shot a revolver so well. Pistol, the Prince of Pistoliers. So it kind of depends on where you're going with that, right? What era you're talking about. We don't typically call a revolver today a pistol, but I have less problem with that than I would with somebody calling this a clip over and over, and even that's not a sin. It's just that it and people, I've seen comments like that. People feel like that's being too picky, distinguishing between a clip and a magazine, for example. Well, it's just kind of a fact, what a magazine is and what a clip is, and it reveals it doesn't mean you're a total idiot. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or anything else. Whether you like it or not, though, here's where I come down on it. Whether you like it or not, it does indicate you're probably fairly inexperienced with firearms. Okay, it's just that simple. You may not like that, you may not agree with it, but it really does. It just shows that you're not very experienced with firearms. Unless you have a conversation with everybody in the room or on the internet board, wherever it is, how you are the most experienced person in your city with firearms, and you are a master class shooter, and you've been shooting for 30 years and have 200 firearms and all that, but you just choose to call it a clip because you think the distinction should not be made, and you call it a clip. It's just a mission of yours. Now, that'd be a little different, I guess, okay? But short of that, then, or absent that, you're just going to appear as somebody who is not quite savvy about firearms. It's that simple. Yet, not a sin, nothing wrong with that. We're glad to have you aboard into the firearms world. I never, it hits my ear when I hear someone call it a clip. I heard, gosh, who was it? It was I tell you who it was Longmire. I've been watching through that again. I'm almost finished, and I think Longmire, the sheriff, I believe, called the magazine a clip, or his deputy, Vic, or both of them were calling it a clip. It's the one I was watching last night. I'm almost through with it. I was like, oh gosh, guys, no advisors on this set that could have told you better than that. But anyway, whatever that's worth. So, good to have you all aboard as usual, and I hope I've not bored you too much, but that's what I do on Sunday mornings, right? It's what I do. And there's anything else I was going to say? Oh, I know. I'm getting choked up again. In the M1A video, it's funny when I got a little cough there at the beginning. Everybody said, I hope you don't have the bug. Sometimes if I have a cigar in the afternoon before I do video, that will happen a little bit, and I'll keep a drink handy. But yeah, that just happens. We hardly cut anything out. Now, if John coughs, we cut, okay? Or if I were to get into a coughing fit or something and just had trouble getting rid of it, then we'd cut. But yeah, we just go ahead, probably to a fault, and leave stuff in. But yeah, that's that video we made. I guess it's been at least 2 weeks, so my cough didn't really mean anything. Okay, yeah, I cough sometimes. It's just a fact of life. So, and speaking of that, I hope we all survive, the bug, and one of these days get back to normal. I am growing weary of it, I'll have to say. I really am. Man, and I know some of you are. My life hasn't changed dramatically, but it's still annoying. It's just places you want to go, or maybe a trip you want to take, or things being closed down. For me, it's an inconvenience. It's a real annoyance and a real inconvenience. In addition to the risk of getting it, of course, but or aside from that, but for some of you, you may have lost your job and or your business, and so it's a bit beyond that, isn't it? It's a shame. I think the economic ramifications will be revealed in future months, maybe years. Right now the stock market is it's kind of rebounding and things looking, but that, in a way, that's artificial. The stock market's always slightly artificial. It's just based on confidence, consumer confidence in different things. But at the time, it's a little window. Now, over time, obviously, it's moving up and up. But I mean, on any given month or 6-month period or whatever, it's not a true indicator of what things are going to be. And the months ahead or whatever. And I'm afraid we're going to find out as we move along here how many businesses have gone out of business. That's not quite as evident right now. How many people are going to be out of a job that are maybe not out right now. And we'll see. I don't mean to be a negative Nelly, but it's just, this has been pretty severe and has affected a lot of people, probably a great deal more than we realize at this point. Economically, obviously from a health standpoint, we kind of have our handle on that, depending on what you believe, right? But economically, I think more of that is to come to be revealed, as we move on down the road. So I keep the hatches buttoned down to some extent, save some money, and be ready. You never know how it'll be in a few months, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and hopefully we'll be back on the road to real recovery in a lot of ways, come spring. So anyway, I hope you're doing okay, and you're catching up on a lot of good work if you're having to hang around the house more than you normally do, and reading some good books, watching some good movies, and keeping all your firearms clean. It's a good chance to do that. No excuse not to, right, if you have more time. And we did enjoy the beach. I think I told you that already. Did a little FAQ there and had fun. That was Panama City, if you didn't know. And yeah, and again, I've never been in prison. I've never stalked a supermodel or anybody else. Okay, I know that's a shock to some of you, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the most recent FAQ that fooled some people. So. And last thing, I'll let y'all go in a minute, but one of the things I don't ever want to do is dumb down. I'm dumb enough. If I dumb down what I'm saying even further, wow, even the bugs, won't understand. I don't want to dumb down the humor. Not that I'm a comedian, but just if something just comes out of my mouth like it does on those, I don't even know what I'm going to say hardly. Uh, you know, it's just the kind of thing I would say in a crowd of friends or just people that I'm hanging out with. They know you're joking, and that's just what I do. And so, you know, I figure people who don't get it, it really doesn't matter. You know, they're probably going to miss a lot of stuff unless I just became a robot and spouted out nothing but facts, never make a joke, you know, never ever be sarcastic in any way. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to dumb down. I know it's not really dumbing it down, but just I don't know. I'm just not going to dumb down stuff. You know, it's just either get it or you don't. The thing about me is my perception of things like that is if somebody says something, like anybody listening to that, I don't mean to make a bigger deal out of it, but there were people who weren't sure about it. Anytime I hear somebody say something like that, like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. Name somebody in the firearms industry, whoever, Masa Yub or whoever that you know, if they were doing a video and they were talking, somebody older, and they referred to being in prison for 10 years for stalking supermodels. I mean, if I heard one of them say that, Tom Gresham or somebody that's old enough to to have done that in the 90s, I mean, the first things that would come to my mind, even if I don't know that person very well, is, really? If you did, would you admit it? Really? 10 years? They don't get you. I mean, there'd be so many red flags that would go up that's the joke. You just assume it's a joke, even if you don't know the person. So that's what always strikes me. It's funny about it, right? So, but anyways, probably mostly teenagers that didn't get it. But I will let you go, and I'll be back with more sarcasm. You know that. And you will have to decide whether or not to believe me, okay? Because, I mean, you're going to be really shocked because I am going to start having some livestock here. I got to be careful about shooting in certain areas. And on the Sunday shoot-arounds, maybe doing them in a little bit different place because I think I've got 100 elephants ordered and some giraffes and some orangutans, yeah. So they're all going to be coming in and living here. And, I'm going to have to be more careful about where I shoot, right? So there you go. See if you pass that gullibility test. I'll see you all later. Sorry to have so much fun with you, but you deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve to be able to pick on you, right? I really do. Since you sit back there so quietly all the time, you don't make a sound during the Sunday shoot-arounds even, and it's pretty quiet over here in the woods, and you just sit there. So you're just a target-rich environment, so I've got to hit you. Now, appreciate your support, and really, really mean it. Really mean it. And keep an eye on the channel. Weird things going on with the demonetization, and I think the algorithms. And I just noticed that. So, we post 3 videos a week, 3 or 4 every single week. So just bookmark us and come back, and don't rely on the algorithms. I'd hate for you to miss something brilliant that I might say, okay? Because you never know when that could happen. It's usually once a year, and I don't want you to miss it. Yes, I really mean that. Life is good.